Stop letting strangers tell you how to think. The game being played on literally all of us. So you guys, have you ever looked in the mirror and realized the mirror is telling you something you didn't want to hear? Not the flattering mirror, not the mirror in the dressing room, you know, the one with the good lighting, the real mirror, the one that shows you the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. That's what this show is about. So welcome to the mirror. We're going to look at the way the real mirror would look at what's going on. Now, this is not to scare you, not to divide you, not to tell you what to think, but to help you see things that you might not be able to see by yourself, and make sure that you and your family are never caught off guard. And today we're talking about something that affects every single one of us, whether you're a Gen Z, a Gen X, a baby boomer, whether you're rich, poor, educated, still just trying to figure it out, just ways to keep you and your family safe, okay? So the topic today is simple yet powerful. Are you being played? Because the truth is many good people are being duped, fooled, made fun of, and manipulated because they don't know who they are, number one, and they don't understand the game the world is playing. So today we're going to talk about how narratives manipulate people, how emotions get triggered, how identities get pushed, and how smart, caring people like yourself fall right into the trap without even realizing it. Now, the first thing we need to talk about is identity statements. These are phrases that push you to conform by defining who you think you are before you even know what the issue is. I mean, you guys, you hear it all the time. If you're a real patriot, or if you love this country, or if you care about the children, or if you believe in science, or if you stand for freedom, or if you support justice. Okay, so now pause for a second, because the moment someone defines your identity before presenting information, your brain stops. It just stops analyzing and it starts defending who you are. Nobody wants to feel like they're not patriotic. Nobody wants to feel like they don't care about their kids. Nobody wants to feel like, well, like they're on the wrong side of the issue. So suddenly, the conversation is no longer about facts. Nope, nope, nope. It's about protecting my identity. Okay? So here's a quote I want you to remember. The fastest way to control a person is to tell them who they are before they have time to think. Okay? Identity pressure can push people to shut down conversations instantly. For example, imagine someone questioning a policy and immediately hearing something like, if you question this, you must hate this country. Or someone discussing immigration policy and being told, if you disagree, you must be racist. Or someone criticizing a government action and being labeled unpatriotic. Now, the discussion is completely over, right? The identity attack shut the conversation down. We've seen similar identity battles throughout history, you guys. After events like 9/11, many Muslim Americans faced suspicion and pressure simply because of their identity. During other moments of tension, Jewish communities have faced blame and conspiracy theories. In other moments in American history, Black Americans were labeled as threats during civil rights movements. White Americans in certain spaces may now feel labeled automatically as the oppressors. So the point here is not to argue who is right or wrong. The point is to recognize how identity frames works, okay? It's called identity framing for a reason. Once identity is triggered, people start listening and they start defending. Let me say that again. They stop listening and they start defending. Now, that's something completely different from like scarcity, okay? Scarcity is all about survival. And this is where COVID-19 actually makes sense as an example. Humans, well, they're being wired to react strongly when we believe resources might disappear. That instinct comes from our ancestors. For thousands of years, people lived through moments where losing resources literally meant death. Think about the Great Depression. Families lost jobs overnight. Banks collapsed. People lined up for bread. Some families literally lost everything they owned. Think about war. Cities bombed, food rationed, homes destroyed, families fleeing with whatever they could carry. Think about ancient communities facing droughts or failed harvests. If the crops didn't grow, the tribe, what? Starved, okay? Those experiences shaped human survival instincts, and those instincts still live inside our brains. So when people hear messages about shortages, something deep inside activates, okay? That's what we saw during COVID-19. News about shutdowns and uncertainty triggered our scarcity instincts. Suddenly, people rushed to the store and began hoarding supplies like toilet paper, cleaning products, and food. Logic didn't drive that behavior. Survival instincts did. This is called an emotional script, a survival script built into the human brain. Okay, but emotional scripts can also be triggered intentionally. For example, a politician might say something like, if we don't act right now, our children will have no future. That statement activates a deep protection instinct tied to protecting offspring. It creates urgency even before you guys even know the facts, right? Now, here's another important concept: cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance happens when your brain holds two conflicting ideas at the same time. And that tension, it just feels uncomfortable, right? So let me give you an example. Someone may believe an organization is completely good. Oh, they're the best thing since sliced bread. Then they learn that organization receives funding from industries connected to the problem they claim to fight. What happens? That creates tension. And many people resolve that tension might be causing some issues with that organization. And they start to reject it because it feels uncomfortable. The information just doesn't fit. So here's a quote for you from the mirror. Most people do not reject the truth because it's false. They reject it because it's uncomfortable. Okay? Let's talk about money for a second. Sometimes a campaign appears noble on the surface, right? For example, cancer awareness campaigns. Cancer awareness is important. Millions of families are affected by cancer every day. But if you look deeper at sponsorship lists, sometimes you find a complicated picture. Certain cancer awareness events have historically been sponsored by companies involved in processed food production, alcohol industries, chemical manufacturing, or even pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so that's going to bring up some questions. Now, that does not mean automatically wrongdoing, but it shows how systems can become complicated, right? The same economic ecosystem can include companies whose products contribute to health risks, while other parts of that ecosystem fund awareness campaigns and treatments. Okay, so that complexity does not mean evil masterminds are controlling everything. But what it does mean are incentives are complicated. And that's why I often say something really, really important, you guys. And you hear it in relationships. The world is complicated. Our relationship is complicated. People are complicated. It's not good guys versus bad guys, not heroes versus villains. It's real life full of different systems, incentives, pressures, and unintended consequences. Understanding complexity helps us to stay calm and thoughtful instead of reactionary. Now let's talk about tribes. Human beings naturally form tribes, groups, whatever you want to call it. In the United States right now, those tribes might be called political parties, religious groups, activist communities, professional networks, or even cultural circles. Belonging to a tribe feels safe, but it can also create pressure. Imagine someone working in the entertainment industry. They want to succeed. They want acceptance. They want to belong to that group that they're in, right? But maybe privately, they disagree with a political statement everyone else is repeating. They know speaking up might risk rejection, losing opportunities, being labeled difficult. So they stay silent. That's tribal pressure. The fear of rejection becoming stronger than the desire for truth. So here's another quote I want you to sit with. When belonging becomes more important than truth, truth disappears. Now let's talk about context. Context shapes what people consider, what they consider acceptable, okay? Imagine a massive cyber attack hitting our country tomorrow. Leaders respond by introducing sweeping surveillance laws to protect the citizens. Yeah, right? Under normal circumstances, many people might oppose those laws. Oh, no, you're taking away my privacy. Oh, you can't do that. But during an emergency, the context changes. Fear changes the perception. That doesn't automatically mean that the policy is right or wrong, but fear says something different. It simply shows how context influences behavior. Another powerful tactic is rapid compliance. This happens when messages push people to act right now, right now, right now. Social media campaigns are a perfect example. Suddenly, millions of people are changing profile pictures, adopting hashtags, or repeating messages overnight. Sometimes those movements are genuine. Sometimes they later reveal deeper political agendas. That's why one of the most important rules from the mirror is this: pressure loves speed. Truth is comfortable with patience. And finally, timing. Ask yourself why a story is happening right now. What else is happening at the same time? Sometimes huge celebrity news flood headlines the same week an investigation report about corruption appears or hits the scene. Yeah, maybe coincident, maybe distraction, but asking the question sharpens your awareness. So now let's step back and look at the big picture. This lesson from the mirror is not about attacking one political party or one group of people. Every group can fall into manipulation if they don't understand the game. PSYOPs. Because the real game is emotional pressure, identity pressure, tribal pressure, and narrative framing. But once you understand the game, now you can stop reacting emotionally. You slow it down, okay? You ask better questions. And that's what strong families do, okay? They stay calm. They stay observant. They stay curious. Here's one more quote I want you to remember. I think it hits home. The people who stand strongest in chaos are not the ones who know all the answers. They are the ones who ask the right questions. And that's what the mirror is here for, to help you guys see the things that are easy to miss, to help you recognize manipulation, to help you protect your family with clarity instead of fear. So if this conversation opened your eyes, come on and join the community. This is just a small glimpse of how we prepare our members to determine truth from fiction so they can make the right decisions for their families, their communities, and their future without fear. I'm Monet Swan, and I love you guys. And I'll see you next time, right here on The Mirror. Have a good day.